Okay, so this is stuck fairly well. I mean, you could rip it off if you wanted to, but I think over time it'll cure a bit better. Oh, we'll see how that goes. So that's ready for a bit of varnish and that'll be done. Then the lid also has been done. I forgot that I needed to adjust one of these things. It wasn't fitting in properly. So now that fits in well, but I need to just epoxy that. But I can do that later. One thing I have noticed is the lid has flexed a little bit or warped a little bit, which is a bit of a shame. But I have tested it. If you can get a strap down there and one down there, that'll work really well. I'm going to try and find if I can get some kind of clamps that will clamp it down here and here. But at the moment, the strap system that I've devised is probably the best way of doing it. Let me go and show you that now. I realised that I did do a video on this, but my GoPro just corrupted. I had just had a whole day of corrupted videos. So this was the system I'm going to use. These are great, these little clamps. I use them for everything. And they've never really failed me. They've held things on my roof rack quite well. And then that's what we're going to do. Clamp down with these. Now, if I can secure these to the side or the bottom of the box, that would be quite good. And I'm going to have another one here. And I think that's going to be enough. I mean, we're not looking for absolute, IP rated water tightness. We're just looking for the box to be sealed if a bit of water gets in it. And then I think that's all we can do. We'll have another one there. The box isn't quite finished. We've got to take it down to the boat. We've got to get it fitted in the boat. So we've got to get those chocks done. And then the other thing we're going to do is just make sure we know where we're going to have to push a couple of holes in the box for the charging cables and anything that's going out of the boat as well. So yeah, it's not just for charging up devices. It's also to power things that are going on the boat. So yeah, but so far this has been brilliant. Just sanded these little blocks. These are for the box to be affixed to the hull. These are for the bilge pump pipe. Just sanded off the edges, and then I've sanded the chocks as well, just ready for fixing to the gaff. Right, so it's been like a steady 15 degrees in here overnight, which is brilliant. And this resin has set really well. It's really hard. So I think we're ready for sanding. I just want to check this. Yeah, I think that's hard as well. That's ready. So I think we're gonna sand this resin down now, just to make it nice and level, and then we'll be ready for epoxying the whole masts. We've got the big dog in here, the bigger sander. This one's just a little bit too biddly for the job. Let me just switch the light on here. I'm hoping you've noticed the difference in the last couple of days in my Action 3 videos. So the Action 3's had a really good firmware update recently, which has been focused on darker videos, which were a little bit... One of the things with the DJI was the dark video capture wasn't so good as the GoPro, but they seem to have made a really big improvement to that. So let me know what you think. Going to finish this coffee and then we're going to get sanding again. So you can see that has done a much better job and much quicker as well. I haven't quite finished this bit. You've just got to sand it nice and flat and level. Yeah, and that's lovely now. Yeah, and yeah, just got to get this one a little bit more leveled out and sanded in. But as you can see, the sandpaper fills up quite quickly. So fortunately, I've got quite a lot of these. although I won't have a lot after I've finished here probably. To be honest with you, I think I've made a mistake. I put too much of this epoxy down here at the bottom. I should have just filled this gap and done it just with standard epoxy. I'm just hoping this is going to be okay, not too thick to fit in the foot well. So I think it's about there. I'm done with sanding anyway. Going to have to spend about 20 minutes hoovering the place now, but there we go. You live and learn. Anyway, that's all the sanding done on these two masts. The next job will be to get this gaff sorted out. Hopefully this will be a little bit of a nicer job to do in here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, the reason I'm doing this inside and not outside, which would have been the logical thing to do, is the weather is roaring out there today and tomorrow by the looks of it. Excuse me. So it's like 30-35 mile an hour winds, and it's pouring with rain. So I've got no choice but to crack on in here. But as you can see, I've largely hoovered everything up. Yeah, perhaps wasn't the cleverest thing to do. So we're moving on to the gaff. So here you can see these are the chocks that the gaff raises to when the sails, the mainsail is fully open. And we need to create some new chocks, and they're going to be roughly here, that will let's see if can you see that. So we're going to be creating some new chocks roughly down here, that will be for when the mast is the sail is reefed. You'll probably notice that these look a little bit bigger, actually it's that way around, than the ones that are in already. But what I'm hoping to do, I mean they are quite big actually, what I'm hoping to do is sink these by a couple of mil into the mast, and then you know what, we can always sand them down a little bit once they're in and glued. I don't think it's going to harm them being a little bit bigger. We'll find out, but we can always, you know, chop them down a little bit if we need to. So I've got the instructions from the Pettigrew's website, and I've measured the mainsail reefing point as well to confirm. Excuse me. And these need to be 3 foot, excuse me, 1 inch from the tops of the jaw, or the blocks, to the tops of the blocks. So we're going to do that. Now, 3 feet and 1 inch is 37 inches. So I'm going to stick to the imperial here. So I'm going to put this one in first. And then what I'm going to do is make sure the other one is right bang on. Now, you know, we need them to be the same because we don't want, you know, this one to be a little bit off kilter, because one of them will take more strain than the other and actually may even make the gaff a little bit bent. But there we go. One other thing I would say is a lot of people have told me don't bother with putting these in, just drill a hole through and it'll be absolutely fine. It's more than wide enough to take that. It was the easy route, I guess, but I'm never one for the easy route. So we're going to get this nice and central, and then we're going to just draw the area that's just going to get cut out here. The reason I'm making a little cutout for this is I just think, you know, with the pressure pushing them down, I think we need a little bit of lateral help from the wood itself, and that's why I'm doing that. Only a little bit, by the way. Strip taken off. Should come off nice and easy. Edge. So what I'm trying to get is just a little bit of support, front and back, you know, and that should be spot on. So I'm quite chuffed with that, to be honest with you. I'm going to glue this in place, and then I'm going to just sand it down to the required size. But that I'm pretty chuffed with. So now what we're going to do, I'm just going to put this, just going to call this side 1 and that 1 because that chock fits that side. I'm going to call this chock 2. Actually, this pencil, I love that pencil, but it's no good for measuring accurately because the lead is about 3 inches thick. Now what we're going to do is repeat that process on the other side. There we go. I think that's about there. Let's give that a go. Yeah, a little bit too big, that one, but oh, it's actually okay. And you see, that's doing exactly the same job. So now we're going to just rotate. What? Going to rotate this round this way, just see what they look like. Which way's one? Together when we push them up. Yeah, there. A tickle. Yeah. Needs to be a little bit back, but it gives us a little bit of leeway, that one. So as long as we fill this with epoxy, you know, it's not going to go anywhere, so it gives us actually a little bit of adjustment. So I think we fix this one and then we will fix this one in afterwards. So just before we begin, I've got plenty of epoxy in here. I've just forgot that on the back of the tiller here, this wood just needs a little bit of help there, so I'm just going to give a little layer of protective epoxy on there just to keep that wood nice and sealed. And then we also need to do these little bits down here just where they've worn away, so I'm going to do those as well when we get the thickened epoxy in. So let's get this wetted out, sorry. Whoop, don't want too much on there. But this is just to make sure the epoxy, you know, doesn't all soak into the wood. Let's do that one, and then this one. So let's just give that a break. I need to just flip this over. Oh dear, we don't want that to fall over. I'm just going to flip this over and wet the other side. I do know that I'm not the world's greatest person when it comes to attention to detail. Probably I should have got this a little bit neater, you know, but I don't know. I'm just no good at that sort of thing. So I'm going to get the 404 filler ready so we can actually then glue that. But yeah, we'll just wait for these to tack up and then we'll get the filler in. I have just done this a little bit too thick, but it's workable if we're quick. So the first thing I'm going to do, I know it's not to do with the gaff, I'm just going to get a little bit of this, probably going to try and paint it in and just fill these little gaps up that have worn away rubbing on the basically I've got a little shackle point that's really useful on the boat actually, but it's, I don't know why it's there, but it does rub on the tiller here. So we need to sort that. I don't care if it squeegees out, you know, we need plenty of this in. This brush perhaps was not the biggest of brushes for this, but we're getting there. And we're gonna put a load on this side as well. Right, here we go. And then it's definitely that way. And we're going to put that in there so it squashes together like that. Just going to tidy that up a little bit around there. Make sure we get all these little gaps plugged. I'm not going to be too fussy about that just yet because we're about to put the tape on. But I think what we've got is time to now just get the other one in. So we're going to repeat the process on this side now. There we are. This will all sand out. It's only a tiny little piece. Now, I'm just going to turn it over this way so we've got a good reference here. Now, they look pretty accurate. I don't know what you think. They look pretty, it's this level here I'm after. And then what we're going to do, we're going to, hopefully this tape will work. I'm going to tape that side on the first, because I don't want the chocks to get moved. But that's going to be good. That's going to be good. They're pointing in the right direction. There. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and then tomorrow, hopefully, we can start sanding those into the exact shape we need. But they're not looking bad at all. Yeah, they're not looking bad at all. I'm really chuffed with that. I've been cleaning up the bits of metal work. It's not. Oh, hang on, the camera's gone. It's not perfect, but it's, there's a little bit of varnish on there actually. But I cleaned it up, bit of water salt, a bit of a wire brush. Did the same on here, just kind of use a screwdriver just to scratch the varnish off because these look really rough. They look a little bit more presentable now. As to these here, that one looked quite good anyway. This one, yeah, just a little bit nicer. Just look, they are wearing out a little bit there. You can see the string there, but still plenty of life in there. So these are the, I actually had this shackle on the masthead, and then this shackle was on that shackle, so it kind of went like that, and then that shackle went on there. So I can actually just shackle that straight to the masthead. There seems no sense having this one as well. If we go over to the masthead here, I've got new shrouds coming. You can see this one is unpicking, and there's another one that's looking not quite rough. This side looks a bit better, to be frank, but obviously I'm going to have to replace both of them. And I think these will probably be, or this shackle will probably be good for having these on there. So it fits nicely on there, and I think it would fit quite nicely in there, I think. I don't know how big these eyes are going to be because the other side, they're a bit bigger, if you can see. So obviously that would fit fine there. They need to be moved freely. Yeah, I think that would fit in there quite nicely. So I'll measure these up. I've got to buy quite a few shackles and whatnot for the top here and whatnot. And I think I'm going to buy these nice rounded ones. There's a really good place online that sells loads of stuff like this. So I'll probably have to wait for the shrouds to get here just to double check what the size of this eyelet is. The other thing I'm not going to do is cut these off until I get the new shrouds because yeah, I've waited quite a while so far for them to come, and I keep calling and they keep telling me they're sending them out, and then the next day comes and nothing happens. But there we go. It's been maintaining about 17 degrees. The temperature generally has gone up, so this is great news for epoxying and fiberglassing. So we're going to have a quick look at this. I can tell you now that's rock hard, so these little tapes can come straight off. There we go. Oh yeah, they are absolutely rock hard. They're nice and level. And what we need to do now, if you have a little look at this one and then have a little look at this one, you can see these are a little bit smaller in profile. We don't need them to be this big, and in fact they might actually just get in the way. They might snag on things. So the next job here will be it's just going to be a one long laborious sanding job. And to be honest with you, we need to just shave off that, what is it, 2 to 3 mil off there, and then we'd have roughly the same amount there, and we'll draw a nice line. Whether we can use a saw. It's often better to just sand with rough paper, get it to the shape, and get it sort of nicely smoothed in here, so we've got no jagged edges as well.